Come on, BTC.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is the 16th of September 2024. It's 11 a.m. Central European time. A lot later in Australia, I'd imagine, where Peter is, and a lot earlier where Eugene is. I think it's about 6 a.m. I hope you are all doing well on this Monday morning. Well, another week closer. We are probably 2 weeks away from liftoff, if that's what you want to call it. We are going to have a look at a lot of charts at the start of the show because it's a Monday. We're going to have a look at the CME gap. We're going to have a look at Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin versus ETH, the Dixie, the usual things we look at on a Monday. And of course, we have our show. We have the IOU Bitcoin. Now, again, a lot of controversy over the weekend about this. If many of you don't know, we are going to go through that. The SEC are going to team up with the commodities guys and try and work on digital assets together. I think that's a good move. We're going to look at some soul coins that you may or may not want to hold. We're going to look at the angry cats. I made a couple of videos over the weekend. One about hamster combat, one about catizens, and also one about grayscale. So make sure to go and check them out. Unlocks this week, what's going to be unlocked, and of course Lazarus and what's happened to they're a group of hackers, but what's happened to their funds should also be explained in some depth so you understand why not all crypto is created equally. So we're going to do all of that. Before we do that, we are going to have our usual X-Files and a few good mornings to those of you in chat. I know Peter is here, I think Kishan is here, Mags is here, Hidden Agendas is here. I can't see anybody else because my scroll bar is not working. There is a question of the day. Are your bags packed for the bull run? 67% have said yes so far. 33% have said no. Let me know. And if you are watching, remember, bottom left-hand corner, 165, almost 166,000 followers. Are we going to hit 200,000 by the end of the year? That is the question. I don't know. I haven't quite worked it out. October, November, December. We've got 3.5 months to do 34,000 followers. That's going to be touch and go. Absolutely touch and go. Good morning, Danny. I hope you are well. Right, we should probably get on with the show. We've a lot to get through. The title of the show today is No More Pain. What do I mean by that? I mean, I think the lows are in. I think the 49,000 that we wicked to, I think that's pretty much the low. I'm going to show you the charts. go through where we got to last month and this month. I don't think we've got more pain left. I really don't. I think that's it. I think we've had max pain. And everybody with the different indicators, it's all showing us that we are due a move to the upside. We've had 6 months of this. You know, we sent people to Australia for less. We need to have some fun. Right then, what the market's doing. 2.05 trillion market cap for crypto in general. Again, it's a Monday morning, so 57 billion in volume, nothing. Bitcoin dominance and ETH dominance still coming in just over 70%. Bitcoin coming in at 59, ETH coming in at 23 and change. BNB still not doing too bad, just under 550, and Solana, the stable coin, $132. So they're your main coins. Phantom, Sui, Helium, not too many gainers today, but we did have a retracement between me going to bed and me getting up. We had our weekly close. It got rejected. I'm going to show you the CME gap to show you it's not all bad news. So we'll have a look at that in a second. Give me a minute. Right then, losers, again, not too many. ASI was on a bit of a run. It was $1.05 beginning of last week. So retracing to 133 is not a bad one. Brett is one of my meme coin picks for the bull run. It will do as well as the rest of them and a bit more. It's on base, it's the biggest coin. I don't hold any Brett, by the way, but I do think it's going to have a solid run. WorldCoin, don't care about WorldCoin. Think it's absolute trash. Optimism is down a touch. ICP, Ondo at 60 cents is an absolute steal. Copcat is the second of my 3 meme coins to pick for the bull run. That's also down a little bit. That's going to have a good bull run. 670 million for Popcat and 758 million for Brett. I mean, they are good market caps to be getting those coins at. And, you know, Near is down a little bit. Injective, not too much to worry about. Now, we're not going to say too much again about what happened yesterday because we are not a politics channel. President Trump was playing golf and there was an incident. And I said it last time and I'll say it again. You can't solve the world's woes in this way. You can't simply go around doing this or having the odd people. Incendiary language leads to incendiary actions. I think people, especially over there, need to calm down a little bit and stop using the rhetoric that they're using. It doesn't do anybody any good whatsoever. Right then, back to crypto. Plan B. Miners are still struggling with the aftermath of the halving. We need to 2x the Bitcoin price to kick-start the bull pump. So, to start the bull pump, Plan B thinks we need to be at 120,000. Now, if you look at this chart here, you will see that the red areas always precede the pump. The light blue and the dark blue areas, they tend to be, and the green areas they tend to be like the bearish markets where we retrace and we cool off. We're now starting to turn purple, which means that we are going to move towards the upside when most people are predicting October. If you look at the charts, which I will hopefully bring up in a minute, you will see just how bullish we should be for October. And this isn't based on stupid influencer FOMO. This is based on facts, and we like facts here. Now then, just another gentle reminder to all of you. There are only 450 Bitcoin being mined a day. On the 13th of September, the ETFs bought nearly 4,500. So they nearly bought 10 times the total supply of Bitcoin mined on that day. In the week alone, they've bought 3 times the amount of Bitcoin mined in the week. And if you go back to January the 10th, they have bought almost double the number of Bitcoin that have been mined so far this year. Now, if you don't know what a supply shock is, do you remember when we ran out of toilet roll and hand sanitizer and all of those other types of things during the pandemic? Do you remember when people were charging $25 or 25 euros or 25 pounds for hand sanitizer that cost you £2 or €2 6 months before? That's a supply shock. This cannot continue. Mathematically, it is not possible to buy more than is being produced at this rate indefinitely. Now, it might not be today, tomorrow, next week, next year, but at some point, we're going to have to get to equilibrium. We're going to have to get the number of Bitcoin being bought down below 450 from the ETFs. The net buys of the ETFs will have to fall below 450. That is not bearish, that's simple economics. And how do we get to that point? Well, if they keep buying the volume they're buying with the amount of money they have, the price of each Bitcoin will have to go up to the point where it is beneath 450 a day. So you do the math, that's 10 times what the price is now at current rates. I'm not saying that's going to happen in the near future, it certainly isn't. But the supply shock is going to happen. You cannot possibly continue at this rate. And bear in mind, this is since January the 10th. This isn't a flash in the pan. This is 9 months. 9 months of them buying every week, every month. We are going to run out of Bitcoin. I am not going to sit here and not warn you as often as I can that we're going to run out of Bitcoin. Now then, Titan of crypto. In previous cycles, when the price retested the 50-week simple moving average, it bounced at least 40% on average. Sorry, it bounced at least 40%. On average, the bounce was 71%. Now, I am not going to suggest we are going to go up 71% in the next 3 months. That would be super bullish. Now, if you take the 40%, what is interesting about that is that Brogan, not Bitcoin. I should have named him Bitcoin. Bitcoin Fitzgerald should have been his name. He predicts an $84,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. If you take 40% of 60,000, you get 24,000. And if you add 24,000 to 60,000, you get 84,000. So if you were watching his stream on, was it last Thursday, he would have told you 84,000, 85,000, something around that. When you get that kind of confluence, it does stack up. I've got 80 something thousand as well. And I've got 106,000 for next March, next February. So there is confluence. There's different ways to read a chart, and they're all kind of pointing to an $80,000, $90,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year. And again, you're going to get people in December saying it's the end of the bull run, it's finished, it's done for. No. August, the end of August is the earliest I see the bull run finishing. I think it will be October next year. So we are still some ways away. We are not going to finish the bull run in the same year as the halving. If you think that, go and do some research on the Bitcoin cycle. It is a 4-year cycle. It is not a 6 or 8 month cycle. So I'm certainly not going to predict a 71% pump by the end of the year. I am going to predict, however, that we will do that 40%. Absolutely. Right then, let us move on. Before we go into the charts, let me go and get you. Let me go and very quickly remind you of why let's see. And the good news is I am actually getting a new pair of glasses on Friday, so I will actually be able to see these charts in a little bit more depth than I am seeing them now. Okay, so why am I bothering to divert again off the stream? This is the monthly performance of Bitcoin over the last 11 years. As you can see, September, where I'm from, we call it craptember. Okay, it's rubbish. Look at the average, down 4.5%. Look at October. October, on average, is a 23% gain. Look at November. Now, I wouldn't count that 46% as well, because that's based on, 2013, we did a 449% pump. So let's not count that for November. But if we can do the 40% that we're talking about between October and December, then we are going to go to $84,000. And this is, October is, I think, February and October are the 2 best months for Bitcoin. There is a lot of seasonality involved in this. I don't know if anyone's ever read about how pension funds work. They dump all of their underperforming stocks the month before they have to publish their performance. And that, I think, is September. And then what do? Is they buy them all back in December. So they dump them in September, publish the report in October, I think it is, and then they buy back in December. So September, October, November, December, it's all based around seasonality. You've also got the Santa rally, which you always get in December in the stock markets, where I think it goes up between 0.5% and 1.5%. So for me, October is going to be the defining month, and maybe, just maybe, being at $60,000 or thereabouts now is going to help us run into October, because if we do a 25% or even a 20% pump in October, that's going to put us over $70,000 just in October alone. So to get to $84,000 by December in a bull run isn't too difficult in my eyes. So that is a little bit of a distraction from what we're going to go and look at. Let's get back into the charts, show you where we are. It is a Monday. We do look at these a little bit more. No point pumping up crypto until next year. We are dreaming what happened this year. Well, Peter, I've literally just shown you that we're going to get to $84,000 by the end of the year. We can have more than one top. Can we break $74,000 in October? It's on the cards. That would put us at all-time high. Now, the difference is where you think we're going to go. If you think we're going to go to $125,000 by the end of next year, and we're going into December or January at $84,000, that's not much of a bull run. It's 50%, it's nothing. If you think we're going to go to $250,000, then we certainly need to be around $80,000 going into next year to give us the chance of getting there. I don't think that's going to happen, by the way. The other question you've got to ask yourself is, if all of this money that's coming into crypto is going into ETFs, and in traditional markets, we see the alts run because people sell off Bitcoin and buy the alts. If there's nobody to sell off the Bitcoin because it's in ETFs, who's going to buy the alts? How are we going to have an alt season if all of this money that's coming into crypto is coming into the ETFs? Where's the alt season going to come from? Are we even going to see a 5 or 6x? I'm not saying that that's going to happen. I'm just putting it out there. So Bitcoin dominance then, it's on its merry little way towards 60%. We're at 58%. It's still going. It's actually moved up at a faster rate from this line, which means we could very well not have to wait until the end of December to hit this. So if we continue, we could very well hit this in November. And then we could start to see the alt rally. We are on this path that we've been on. If you go all the way back, we started pretty much, I mean, you could probably go back to the start of 2023. So Bitcoin dominance has been rising for almost 2 years. And now we're at the point where we think it's going to top out at 60%. It's already reached my target. My target, I think, was 56%. The next target was 58. We've just touched that today. We're going to see 60%. If we rally in October, we are going to hit 60% in October because Bitcoin will rally to maybe 70,000. The alts and everything else aren't going to automatically go with it. They will, of course, go up, but Bitcoin tends to outperform the market until it doesn't, and then it breaks down, and then everything else rallies. So we're on our way to 60%. End of the year is still on the cards, but I do think we might hit it even end of October. And it can go to 61% and 62%. I'm not saying it can't, but traditionally 60% has been the target. ETH Bitcoin has completely broken down. We are now below 0.4. What does that mean? Well, it means we could very well come somewhere down here. We've still got a long time left before. Is that going to actually put it in the right colour? Let's have a look. There we go. So we've still got a fair amount of time before the end of the year, and the rate it is collapsing, is certainly, we need a bounce. That is what we need. We need a bounce. Why is this important? Again, if you have a portfolio and Ethereum is losing value against Bitcoin, and it has been doing for over 2 years, what is the point of holding Ethereum when you could just hold Bitcoin? That's the point of this chart. Now, I don't necessarily think you shouldn't hold Ethereum, but the argument is that back up here, 11 Ethereum could buy 1 Bitcoin. When we come down to this line, you now need 25 Ethereum to buy 1 Bitcoin. And if we break down here and we go to 0.3, then you will need, again, everything changes colour. Right, okay, hang on. So, never mind. Right, the point of the matter is, we're breaking down on Ethereum. It's probably not a good time to be buying Ethereum against Bitcoin. You might want to hang on until we bottom. That might be 0.035, 0.036. It should have been 0.4. It's still coming down. So Bitcoin is still the top dog to buy right now. People just talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum, but not many discuss alts. I think the issue again is that when Bitcoin is in its range and it's moving up the way it's moving up, The problem that you've got is there is no point in talking about alts. The alts are there to pump after Bitcoin. The king of the jungle has just taken down a bison, and the hyenas and the jackals and the crows and all of the little animals, they all want to eat the bison. But the king of the jungle eats the bison first. And when the king of the jungle's finished, it walks away, and then the rest of them can feed. That is what crypto is like with Bitcoin. Remember, Bitcoin is 58%. $58 out of $100 in crypto is in Bitcoin. So it feeds first. And that's what we talk about by it going to 60%, because it's outperforming the rest of crypto put together. You're still going to get the likes of Solana or XRP next month, or maybe Ethereum when it decides to pump. They will individually outperform Bitcoin, but they won't all outperform Bitcoin simultaneously until the alt season starts, and then Bitcoin will break down against the alts. Now, the gap is, I believe, 59.8. So 59.8 is the CME gap, and we're at 59.135. So I expect us to move up to 60,000 in the next few hours. And again, that's not saying that we're going to break up. We'll show the Bitcoin chart in a minute. All I'm saying is that we normally fill the CME gap when we are quite close to it. Had we closed at 58,000 on Friday and we were at 59,000 today, I would have predicted us moving down to 58,000. It's the opposite. We're about $900 higher than where we are right now. We're going to move up to it. And then finally, the Dixie, the DXY. We are rattling around. We've broken this trend line. That's gone. We're now in this downward spiral. We are bouncing off this level here. Now the question is, and this is where we're going to move on to now, and again, we haven't even got to the show yet, and it's 25 past, but there's a lot to get through on a Monday, and I wasn't streaming on Friday, so there was a lot to talk about on Friday as well, but I wasn't here. The Oracle took my place. Now this is the issue. This week, Chairman Powell is going to cut interest rates, and we're going to come down. Or are we going to go up? Or are we going to come down? We are expecting a 0.25% cut. I don't think that we're going to see half a percentage point cut. So we are going to see a move down. Let's see if it talks about it near the bottom. Of course it doesn't. Why would it? Why would it mention Chairman Powell anywhere in the article? Wow. Okay, so basically, I think it's on Wednesday. Chairman Powell's going to announce the rate cut. Crypto stocks are expecting 0.25. I don't think it's going to affect the market. But as I say, every single time one of these events happens, don't trade the day of the Fed cut. The rate decisions, don't trade those days. Don't trade anything like that, because what will happen, we might break to 62,000. We might then come straight back down to 58,000. All that does is liquidate the longs and liquidate the shorts. And then you sit there and the whales and the money makers have won and you have lost yet again. So please, don't leverage on this day. It is so volatile. You don't know the direction of the market. You might as well go to the casino and put all your money on black. You don't know what's going to happen, so be careful. Now then, more controversy, and this I'm going to have to be careful talking about it so I don't mention too many people's names. There are many on YouTube saying XRP will go to $100. It will not go to $100. I will bet you my entire life savings on this channel that we will not see a $100 XRP in 2024 or 2025 for the very simple reason. There is one very simple reason that will not happen. XRP would need to 200x. So 200x. That would give it a $6.4 trillion market cap. Now, just a little reminder, the entire crypto market is 2 trillion. So some idiot is telling you that this is going to become 3 times the total value of the entire crypto market combined, including the number one asset. If anybody tells you that XRP is going to go higher than, let's say, for argument's sake, $10. If anyone tells you XRP is going to go higher than $10, give them a head wobble. Give them a head wobble. My target for XRP, which I think I have made a video about, is I think $3 to $5, maybe $7, but I think $3 to $5. Now at $3, that would be a 5x. That would give it a $150 billion market cap. Okay? I think that's sensible. I think it's reasonable. It's also quite a big 6x from where we are now, 5x from where we are now. If it goes to, let's say, $7, which is the upper end, what would that do? That would give us a $400 billion market cap. Well, again, that still isn't outside of the realm of possibility. If Bitcoin does go to 150,000, that would be 3.3 trillion. Ethereum will probably go to $1 trillion. No, 800 billion, maybe something like that. So would XRP be able to go to something like 400 billion? Yeah, of course it can. Because when the news comes out that the SEC are not following up their court case, XRP is going to pump, and I would expect it to go to $1. Now, if it's at $1 going into next year, $3 is not really outside of the realm of possibility. $7 is pushing it. $5 I think is a good bull run. So we're still going to see even a 10x on XRP is solid, but it all depends on the markets. And for somebody to tell you it's $100 is absolutely ridiculous. And again, I think it's also irresponsible. The same way Rich Dad Poor Dad said that we would be at $350,000 for Bitcoin by August. It was never going to happen. There's no chart in the world that would show you $350,000 Bitcoin by August. So what is he smoking? Okay. The other example that we had is, of course, I think it was Cryptos R Us said we'd be at $1,000 for Solana by the end of the year. I think that was highly optimistic. I think $400 by the end of the year would be a bloody good 2024 for Solana. So again, I don't know what they do. I don't know whether they go for the bigger and bigger numbers to get you to come and watch their videos. It could just be clickbait. But they can't possibly believe it. I mean, come on. You can't possibly believe that XRP is going to have a $6 trillion market cap. Right then, we're going to be careful about this one. Now, there is a lot of stuff going around on the internet about BlackRock. Now, BlackRock own the IBIT, which is the Bitcoin ETF, and it's a spot ETF, which means that the underlying asset has to be bought. Now, BlackRock are buying it from an exchange. And Mr. Baldy, I can't remember what he calls himself, he's got a nickname for himself. Let's call him Gary Baldy. Gary Baldy has had to come out and defend himself on a Saturday or a Sunday because of this. Okay? Bitcoin IOU rumors. Now, if you've ever traded on the stock market, or if you've ever bought shares, you will see a thing called T-1 or T-2. And there is, in everything pretty much that you do, there is a difference between you paying for your stock and you receiving it. So let's say it's T-2 and you buy some Tesla shares today, which is Monday, and it's T-2. You will receive those shares on Wednesday. Okay? That's how it works. That's how it's worked for I don't know how many years. And I do believe, yes, there's probably online exchanges nowadays where it's instant and you get the asset straight away. I get that. But I know about this from ex-divs. An ex-div is you need to hold a share the day before the ex-div comes out, because that's when you get paid a dividend. So if Tesla are paying their dividend in December and they go ex-dividend on Friday, I need to own that Tesla stock by Friday. So I would buy it maybe Tuesday, and I would physically have that stock in my name on Thursday. Now, BlackRock are buying the asset, but they are not buying it instantaneously. So this IOU is basically T-1. So they buy $50 million worth of Bitcoin, and this exchange gives it to them probably the following day. Because we don't know how many times BlackRock are buying in a day. So what's the point in settling it on the same day? What if BlackRock put through 10,000 orders on a Thursday? What they will do is they will combine all of those orders together on the Friday morning and process them as a batch. So let's say it's a net of 1,000 Bitcoin. Then they will give BlackRock the 1,000 Bitcoin on the Friday. Okay, that's how it works. And now you have all of these so-called crypto degen sleuths walking around with magnifying glasses looking like, I don't know, the Pink Panther, accusing a publicly traded company of not holding the underlying asset. And this publicly traded company is one of the most studied, analyzed. The SEC are probably in there every week. They're studying them, they're auditing their books, and you're trying to tell me that Gary Baldy is writing IOUs to BlackRock? Give over. Absolute FUD. Absolute FUD. This would never go on. Now, yes, there are tens of other examples where Arthur Andersen, which was an accounting firm, an auditing firm, they cheated the books for companies in the past. They no longer exist. There's examples of massive fraud. You can look at Ponzi schemes. You can look at all that. And yes, there's examples. But do you honestly think, after all the pain that these exchanges have gone through to get recognition and get licenses, do you honestly think they're going to fudge the books? It's different if this was an offshore exchange that didn't have a license and operated out of Palau. Fine. It's a publicly traded company in America. It's not going to happen. But of course, Tyler Durden goes off on one and starts to say that BlackRock borrows to short, control the price, all of this kind of nonsense. It hasn't been happening, okay? Even Justin Sun is jumping on the case. Why is Justin Sun jumping on the case? Because they're a competitor. And what do? You kick and when they're down, okay? If you want audits, Deloitte audits us annually. We're a public company. I doubt our institutional clients want people dusting all their addresses, and it's not our place to share for them. This is what it looks like if you want a bunch of institutional money to flow into Bitcoin. Precisely. Now, that's a different argument to BTC. We're not talking about that in this. We're talking about the fact that a few blokes in t-shirts and shorts and tattoos have started to say that a publicly traded company don't have the underlying asset. It's absolute nonsense. Okay, I'm not going to swear because it's too early in the morning, but give me a break. Give me a break. And of course, these institutions aren't going to want their wallets to be made visible. Why would they? They see this exchange the way they see a bank. They will also do an annual report and a quarterly report that comes out showing what they own in Bitcoin and BlackRock. Of course they will, but it's not done the same way. The crypto degens, they're so used to having all of the information available online, they forget that there's a 200, 300-year-old banking system that's still working perfectly fine in the background with quarterly and annual reports having to be done by these companies at millions of their expenses, auditing companies. It's just a joke. It makes me laugh the way people, you know what, they're like flat earthers or the UFO conspiracies that come out of the sea. Great, you've got a theory, but 50 years down the line, you've still not got no proof. Do you know what I mean? UFOs, aliens walk amongst us. Great, where are the pictures? Where's the interviews? Okay? You absolute crackpots. You can't accuse this type of company of doing something so shady, because that would never happen. It would happen in an unregulated business, in an offshore account. Yes, and it has done. FTX is a prime example, but not in a publicly traded company that's audited by Deloitte. New bill seeks collaboration between the SEC and CFTC on digital assets. This is what we want to see. Again, regulation is what you need. You need a fair and level playing field. Good morning, Tariq. I've known Tyler for years. He's an OG. He might very well be. Give them the bird middle finger. I can't do that on camera. Put it this way. If Tyler is right, then we're finished. Okay, crypto is finished. If this is the case, we are finished, because it will bring down BlackRock, it will bring down the exchange that we're not going to mention the name of, it will bring down the entire ETF, the Bitcoin ETF, it will all come crumbling down. It will be over. Now, these IOUs are probably settlement terms, and the settlement terms will not be instantaneous on Bitcoin. It will be probably a 24-hour or 48-hour settlement. It will not happen instantaneously. And you are expecting them to adhere to a different set of rules when they've been given the rules they have to adhere to by the SEC. So who are they going to listen to? The SEC, who have told them, if you want to do it like this, you have to do this, or listen to a bunch of degens and amateur sleuths on Twitter who think they've got it right. So he could very well be an OG, and he could very well be right. But if he is right, it's game over, because this is going to finish the bull run. So I don't think that's the case. So, bridging regulation and innovation for digital, global, and electronic digital assets, the Bridge Act. See, the Americans are really good at naming their laws, okay? In the UK, they're crap. Ibidteba. Or if you go to Europe, what do Europe call them? What's that one that they've got over there? Mime or Mima, something like that. Completely rubbish. This one makes sense. Bridge between the SEC and the CFTC. The bill proposes forming a joint committee to unite both agencies and private sector stakeholders to create a balanced regulatory framework. Beautiful. Exactly what we want to see. Remember, I believe 90% of crypto assets are securities. I believe the majority of NFTs are securities. Okay? There is no evidence to suggest that a lot of these so-called NFT world-changing tokens are anything but securities. It's a get around for them to not have to go and issue shares in their businesses. Look at Animoca Brands. How much did they raise from the Bored Ape Yacht Club? Are they paying their staff and for their office space with those proceeds? Probably. Are they paying for their office and staff with ApeCoin? Probably. What is Solana paying their team with? What is Ethereum paying their team with? So why aren't they securities? There's no argument. Bitcoin isn't a security. It's mined with hard work. Litecoin isn't a security. It's mined with hard work. XRP they lost the court case, but now the secondary market isn't seen as a security. Fine. Once it's outside of the control of the company, fine. But there's always going to be the case for most of these to be called securities. And you can say it's not a security, but if it fails the test, it's a security. So I think I like this idea. There was also talk, we covered a piece where they were going to create a specific Howey test for crypto assets. And the Howey test is the test that's been around since the 1920s to declare whether something is a security or not. And they're going to create one for crypto assets. And I agree with it, okay? And one of them, I believe, is 60% or more of the token has has to be decentralized. It has to be held by multiple other individuals. And I like that. It makes sense to me, and it makes common sense. And that's what you want to see from these new laws and these new tests. So do I believe this is the right thing that they should be doing? Absolutely. Of course it is. And they will collaborate on regulations. The current heavy-handed regulation by enforcement approach isn't working and is instead encouraging investment in the key innovation overseas. Exactly. Once you started to see the big blue chip companies open office in London, you knew something was going to change in America. I don't believe those companies opened their offices in London to actually move to London. I think they did it as a warning shot to America. When you've got big exchanges opening offices in London, when you've got investment firms opening offices in London, and when you get 5 or 6 of them doing it, it will raise the eyebrows of the senators, because senators want tax revenue. So it was always going to come to a head, and Gary Gensler has lost because regulation by enforcement was never going to work. Was that politically motivated? I do not know. The Joint Advisory Committee on Digital Assets will provide a framework for the government and private sector partners to cooperate on a path towards success for the regulatory landscape of digital assets and private sector participants, the lawmaker detailed. Again, the likes of this, it shouldn't be politicised. It should be based on the benefits to the country at the end of the day. Not your keys, not your coins. Absolutely. Of course they're not. Of course they're not. I totally agree with that. But the argument, the counter argument is, if you're going to bring institutional money, they are not going to want to hold their keys. They're going to want a custodian. You know, they don't hold their own physical money or physical gold in their offices. They hold it with their local bank that they've trusted for the last 60, 70 years. Apple uses a bank. Microsoft uses a bank. Google uses a bank. They just see this exchange and BlackRock as another version of a bank. They're not the same people. We are not the same as them. Each regulatory body will appoint 10 members who will serve 2-year terms. I just hope that they do this in a sensible way. And like I say, you know, why do I like the Bank of England? Because love them or hate them, they are apolitical. They are not influenced by politics. Politicians can say things to them, but the Bank of England was separated from the government 30 years ago, and they did that to stop governments from being able to basically change things before elections and do it for the benefit of the party rather than the benefit of the country. So I totally agree. You know, the Fed, the SEC, the CFTC, they should be outside of the scope of political influence, in my opinion. It shouldn't be. Your economy and your trade and your business should be encouraged by the government of the time, but it shouldn't be punished by the government of the time. So the Solana ecosystem showdown. Can these 3 coins surpass Chainlink and Render? Again, I quite like doing these because it gives a varied selection of coins based on other people. It'd be very easy for me to sit here and just tell you all the things I like, all the coins I like, talk about all the things I like every day. But again, it doesn't give you 2 sides of the story. I'm going to read articles that I don't agree with, and I'll say I don't agree with them, but at least you will see 2 sides of the argument, and you can believe the article, you can believe me. It's not my job to convince you otherwise. So, Chainlink is, I mean, $10 or $11 is a decent price for Chainlink. Would I hold? Let's rank these in order. So there's 5 coins: Chainlink, Render, Helium, Dog with Hat, and the Graph. Okay, they're the 5 coins. So before we get into it, I'll rank them in the order that I would hold them. I would hold Chainlink first, Render second, Graph third, Dog with Hat fourth, and Helium fifth. I don't like Helium, and that's my opinion, but I'm going to tell you what the article has to say about it. Chainlink is the number 1 oracle. There are competitors to it in different fields. Chainlink is very big at the minute. Maybe this is the last great bull run of Chainlink. Maybe it peaks, and then by the end of the next bull run, It has so many competitors, it's lost its advantage. That's a possibility, but I think it's going to have a great bull run. Render, not a massive fan of what it actually does, but it's partnered with Apple. So can I see it getting back towards $7 to $10 in the near future? Yeah, probably. Helium is, this is the one which is the decentralized phone network or decentralized internet system. I can't stand it. I think it's terrible. It's going to need mass adoption to make a difference. And yes, it's going to do well in certain parts of the world, but I think it's overhyped. The same way as Uprock, I think Uprock on Solana is also overhyped. I don't believe in either of the two projects. There may come a time in the future where they merge, or maybe they will be bought out, or maybe they will partner with Deutsche Telekom or Orange or something like that, but it's such a mammoth task. I like it, I just don't see it working. Dog with Hat is obviously, when it was at $5 or $6, it was well overpriced. It's at $140, $160. It's still a good price. If you want to hold a meme coin that could have a really good bull run, Dog with Hat is decent. And then the graph is a little bit like a massive API where you can get feeds of thousands of different things. It's a good project. It's not sexy. Chainlink, for me, I would pick over the graph. But again, the graph will always do okay. I think the graph has got a better chance than Dog with Hat and Helium of surviving the next 5 years, put it that way. And again, I think Chainlink is going to be number one in this list for me. You could probably differ. You might like the idea of Render and Apple. You might not like the idea of Helium and its expansion. You might like the idea of Dog with Hat getting towards $10. You might like the idea of the graph because it's such a simple concept. But they're all decent projects within their own right, except maybe Helium. Right then, moving on very quickly. Could be true, could be FUD. Either way, not your keys. I've read that one out. Okay. Decent middle figure. Never XRP. Yep, I know, totally. Right, remember, if you're here, please smash the like button and say hello in chat. Even if you don't normally comment, say hello. Even if you just type the country that you're watching from, that'd be fine. Now then, two projects that I have covered in the last month have surprised me. Not surprised me, changed my opinion of them. One is Hamster Combat and the other is Catizen. Now, I am never going to play Catizen. It's not my kind of thing, but the numbers are pretty decent. The revenue it generates is pretty decent, and the airdrop is happening this month. I actually made the video about Hamster Combat and Catizen. I made them both on Saturday. I think I published Hamster on Saturday and Catizen on Sunday, so they've both been reviewed. For me, Hamster Combat is the better project, but Catizen has got little AI cats that will be launched next year. It's got a nice group of people, 2 or 3 million people play it. It's got a big revenue stream. I think it's got $26 million in revenue. The tokenomics isn't too bad. The split isn't too bad. There's a lot of things going for it, except this. Pluto Studio is facing backlash after changing the Catizen airdrop criteria with a smaller initial allocation than previously teased. And there is a cat looking very angry. An angry cat. Some players are up in arms after the airdrop allocations were revealed, Pluto Studio admitting to criteria changes that weren't disclosed. This happens all the time. We went through a spate of Jupiter ASR airdrops. I think we went through about 6. And of the 6, I'd say about 4 were wholly underwhelming. And the reason was this very reason. Criteria were changed ahead of time. And that's what drives everybody potty. If I know I'm going to get 50 tokens from an airdrop, and then a week before I get that changed to 20 for no valid reason, I'm going to be annoyed. And that's what's happened.
Many players have expressed disappointment that their share of rewards was lower than expected. It will have a total supply of 1 billion tokens, 305 million at launch. Some players who said they were grinding hard, they wanted a bigger share, ranked 6,000 out of 36 million players, and they get 39 Catty. How can someone call this fair? We need transparency about the token allocation. Now, remember, one thing to bear in mind, with all of these free airdrops, it's free. You are exchanging your time and your efforts in reward for a token that you think has some value. You do not have a God-given right to get these tokens, okay? An airdrop that you pay for is different, but we don't advise those airdrops at all. In this instance, if you are ranked that highly and you are spending 8 hours a day and you get 39 Catty, which are worth $10 each, you've made $390 for your efforts and time. Now, that is entirely up to you to decide whether you are happy or not with that. But again, there's a finite number of tokens. I know that they are airdropping millions of those tokens to the exchanges. Some of the exchanges that you are on now have a deposit bonus. So if you put, for example, 10 Catty into certain exchanges you're on now, you will be given 10 Catty. So they're doing a like for like for you depositing your tokens. So keep that in mind. If you do have Catty in a wallet, or you will have it in a non-custodial wallet, you can transfer it to an exchange and get a double amount. So they've announced 43% would go to the community, but Friday's announcement, 30% of the supply will circulate at launch. Right, okay, I covered that in the video. It said 43%, but they're only releasing 30%. They did say, though, I think they were going to do a second airdrop, but still. 90 million tokens being offered to one of those. 15% or 150 million tokens were used to players. So again, I don't think they've necessarily done this in the right way. But again, you know, do I like these types of things? Not really. My advice is always to get the token and sell it. If the token pumps on day one, sell it and take a profit. You're never going to lose. You're very rarely going to lose. I can't think of a single example where you wouldn't have won. Anyway, very quickly, I don't know how long we have left. We've got 7 minutes, 2 articles. Okay, we cover this every once in a while. This is a website that you are all able to go and watch. This is token.unlocks.app. I have no affiliation with them. I have no affiliate link. I have nothing like that. It's a very nice way of seeing what tokens are about to be unlocked. DeFi Llama has it. DeFi Llama looks like the rear end of a bus. It's awful to look at. Whereas Token Unlocks is quite pretty and easy on the eye. So in the next 7 days, there will be $110 million of tokens unlocked. ARB is the biggest with 47 million at 2.7%. Again, these are not huge numbers, and you can sort it by the different things. You can go and have a look at what you want. Go and check your own tokens. Pendle has a small unlock. 8 releases that many all the time. Arbitrum is up there. There's another exchange up there. FET has a 0.04% unlock. Again, that isn't going to hurt the bank. And, you know, there's nothing really to look at. But like I say, I check these once a week. I haven't had this website up for a while, so I wanted to show it you so you could go and have a look. And again, just because the tokens are unlocked, it doesn't necessarily mean they're all going to be dumped on the market. Some of them will be, of course, but a lot of them will just go back into a treasury. For example, XRP don't really sell their monthly unlock in total. They do sell, but they don't tend to sell it all. Now, finally then, before we get to the conclusion, I've not done too many charts today, actually. That's a very good point. I haven't covered that many charts. Right then, stablecoin issuers block Lazarus Group wallets linked to crypto hacks. Tether, Circle, Paxos, and Terix. 4 of the leading stablecoin issuers have identified and frozen wallets associated with the Lazarus Group, a North Korean hacking group. These wallets contain millions of cryptocurrencies and are believed to be involved in laundering of funds from various cryptocurrency thefts. The multiple cyber crime incidents orchestrated by the Lazarus Group is adding to the fear and skepticism regarding cryptocurrency. According to blockchain analyst Zach, we like Zach, Zach's one of the good guys, the blacklisted wallets hold around $5 million in stablecoins. Additionally, another 1.65 million of assets linked to these wallets have been frozen by several cryptocurrency exchanges, making the size of the fund $7 million. Now, one thing you need to be aware of, and I covered this not so long ago, and we are going to cover it again because it's important. The money that is in your Phantom account or your MetaMask account or your Trust wallet or whatever other wallet that you have got, okay, you might think that is your money. You might think that nobody can come and seize that money. Also, with regards NFTs, you might think that you have, I don't know, stolen an NFT from somebody worth $1,000. It doesn't necessarily mean that those funds cannot be frozen on chain. It doesn't mean that NFT cannot be frozen on chain. There have been multiple examples, this one included, where stablecoins and NFTs have been frozen in the wallets of the individuals who've carried out these crimes. There is this misconception that having a non-custodial wallet means that everything in that wallet is yours and nobody can touch it and you are free to do what you want with it. That is not the case. Circle and Tether are the two biggest stablecoins in the world. They can freeze your stablecoins in your wallets. Obviously, if the money is on an exchange, the exchange can freeze your assets. We're talking about non-custodial wallets. Now, with the example of NFTs, an NFT can be sent to you, or you can, steal it. And if it's a certain type of NFT with a certain trigger on it, then it can be frozen. A good example is Star Atlas. Somebody stole some Star Atlas ships 6 months ago. And nobody knew this, by the way, at the time, because nobody read the small print. But Star Atlas had a little line saying that these assets can be frozen by the originator, which is Star Atlas. So the person who stole the ships had those ships frozen in their Phantom or Soulflare wallet, whichever one they were using, and those assets became unusable. So I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. I'm telling you because most people don't know this, because not all cryptocurrency is created the same. Nobody can freeze your Bitcoin. If you hold Bitcoin in a ledger, for example, or another wallet, a trusted wallet, nobody can touch your Bitcoin. If you have a stable coin, it can be frozen. There are other examples on other chains where they have carried out a consensus vote to change one of the contracts, for example, that you might have been using. So a good example, I don't know if it was on Solana or Aave, where somebody had an incredible amount of assets staked and it was going to cause a mass liquidation, and they released the contract. So just because it's decentralized, it doesn't mean it's also decentralized from control. It's just decentralized because it's in different locations. But Solana isn't overly decentralized. Ethereum can still pull some strings. Bitcoin really is the only one that, of the larger ones, that can stay pretty much autonomous of every outside decision. So again, don't think that they're cheating by doing this. They've been doing this from day one, and the likelihood is that this has been enforced on them by governmental bodies, and I think quite rightly. So it's to basically try and force the bad actors. Now, the one question I've got is, why, if they are so clever, why did they leave their assets in stablecoins? Why did they leave them in USDT and USDC? I don't get that. If you are that proficient at doing what you do, as the Lazarus Group are, why didn't they convert it all to Bitcoin? Was there a reason? Could they not use Tornado Cash? Who knows? Stablecoins are under the spotlight. Zach XBT identified 7 addresses with 891 Bitcoin worth 61 million linked to the group a few months ago. Again, there we go. So what they actually caught was small fry. The blockchain community and regulators are searching for ways to stop malicious agents like the Lazarus Group from taking advantage of the decentralized nature of cryptocurrencies. There we go. I mean, again, I want to see as many of these bad actors forced out as possible, especially where as we get closer and closer to retail adoption, we want to have this kind of stuff blocked. And I think AI might go some way to helping, having your own AI bot built into your wallet that maybe stops you handing over your contract or approving a contract on a platform that's not the right platform, checking. I mean, again, you're always going to have, day zero attacks. But I think AI is going to go a long way to rooting this out. I think they could be gone. Anyway, that's it. We're off. 58.6 for Bitcoin. I do think we'll go back to 59.8. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. You are all stars. I will see you all in the morning. Remember, the Oracle is back tonight at 9 o'clock. So if you want to find out what is going to happen to Bitcoin, if you want to find out what the price of Bitcoin is going to be on Christmas Day or New Year's Day, tune in at 9 p.m. That is 9 hours from now. Say hello to the Oracle himself, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening and take care and stay safe. See you soon.